Buck's getting old, though.
Yeah, he's a year and a half. Looks like we're live. What's up, gang? We got to let it breathe just for a moment here. We got to make sure our entire MHH clan is in the tent, and it looks like we're good. Welcome in, everybody, to the Huddle Up podcast, presented, as always, by Mile High Huddle, powered by Blue Wire Podcasts. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest and the deputy editor of MileHighHuddle.com, Zack Kelberman. Zack, a little interesting nugget. A couple days ago, the Broncos, after some tryouts, they signed the quarterback, Case Cookus. I still have a hard time getting that one out, but nevertheless, here we are, Thursday, 86, gone. Now, you heard an interesting rumor that you picked up on Twitter that maybe there was a rhyme and a reason for his oh-so-temporary stay at Dove Valley.
Yeah, I want to give Benjamin Allbright of KOA Radio the credit for this. He tweeted that he had a cup of coffee last year with the Giants, and a cup of coffee means it was a very, very short-term stay. So he was quickly there. And who do the Broncos open up the season against this year? That would be the Giants. So it's interesting that Broncos would bring him aboard and then cut him a few days later. It could be that. It could have been an intel grab. It could have been he didn't show much from whatever, in the time since he's been under contract. I didn't understand the point of bringing him in either way. You have 3 quarterbacks. You have potentially 2 starters. You have a nice backup in Rippon. You need a number 4 guy. So whether it's an intel situation or whether they just decided to change their minds after putting pen to paper, we do not know. But Case Cookus is no more.
Yeah, it's interesting because oftentimes, including the Broncos, at least through the John Elway front office era, they've liked to have that 4th quarterback through OTAs. And then oftentimes that 4th guy, ends up getting his walking papers after he's served his purpose of distributing the ball to that 3rd string. He's the second arm on 3rd string. And in this case, they didn't even wait for that. Phase 2, basically in the books. They're going to kick off phase 3 next week. I think Benjamin Allbright, what he's reporting, makes the most sense, right? You go with your gut. There's a reason why they brought him in so short term. It's not like he was new to them, but he tried out. Like, he spent all of rookie minicamp last weekend trying out. So it's not like they saw something then, liked it, and then a couple days later saw something else and didn't like it. No. If that's the case, if they liked what he did at minicamp, Zach, then they probably would have said, all right, even if they didn't love what they saw him do these last few days, hey, we liked what we saw then. Let's just kind of, massage him through this and see what may come. He's probably going to get cut, but let's just see. No, it was like, it just felt strategic.
It did. And they had several players try out, and they only signed 2 of them. One was a linebacker, Peta. I won't pronounce his last name. And the other one was Case Cookus. So I don't know what happened from liking him enough in the tryout and deciding I need a number 4 quarterback for camp and then releasing him days later. I don't know what it was, but that's the theory that's out there right now, is that they grabbed some sort of intel, whatever they could glean from Cookus before waving him bye-bye.
Shout out to Big Earn. I love Big Earn. He keeps me on point with scheduling the streams. Man, if it gets past 3:30 Mountain Time, Big Earn is in my DMs. Chad, where's the stream? Chad, where's the room? I need to get in the room. And I love it because he keeps me punctual. Keep being you, Big Earn. Angel, what's up, buddy? So I'm trying to think. There was some other big story that blew up in Denver over the last day or two. I can't even remember what it was. Oh, wait, yeah. The fake news that John Elway and Aaron-Rodgers were golfing together in California. Zach, tonight's, of course, our Mile High mailbag, where we take a peek inside because we are the football priests. Oh, wrong hat. But each and every week, there it is, we're here to offer you the absolution and answers to your burning Broncos questions. We're going to get to all that, try and be as democratic as possible. So if you're on Twitch, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, we'll try and get to as many as possible tonight. But, of course, we got to prioritize the Super Chat superstars and the Facebook super supporters. What's up, Leroy? Good to see you, buddy. He just says, Mile High salute to you guys. Go Broncos. Me and wifey just came from Raiders territory. Yeah, from Vegas or the Bay Area. I'm curious, but good to have you in the house, Leroy. So we're going to get to all that. Zach, should we at least scratch the surface on the rumor that wasn't the fake news? Why don't we? Because we're 4.5 minutes and we got a little room here. You have the report for us, so you did the due diligence. Explain what happened and what didn't happen and how this became a thing.
Well, it all started with CBS Denver's Romy Bean. And for anyone who knows her on Twitter, she's great. Former Broncos cheerleader, great reporter. She knows her stuff and she has people within the building. She reported on the DNVR podcast earlier this week that Aaron Rodgers and John Elway played golf together, and they have made contact for at least the last couple weeks. That would be tampering, and she kind of just writes that off, but that's what it would be. They've also, I believe, she tucked in there, they played poker together. They were hanging out supposedly in the same location in California. That was what she put out there. So that's the basis of the story. But then, as it turns out, Benjamin Allbright of KOA Radio, he said they did run into each other. There was some sort of interaction, but it was in February, and it was very quick. It was very brief. It was just a run-in. They didn't play golf together. They didn't have contact. They weren't talking trade. Nothing nefarious, nothing illegal, and nothing juicy here. It seems like two rich guys playing golf in the offseason, and they all run in the same circles. It's a very small world, the NFL, believe it or not, and that's what it turned out to be. So I wouldn't call it fake news, but I would call it exaggerated news because that's what it was. And I think either Bean was purposely trying to incite this story or she was fed bad information, because what Benjamin Allbright's hearing is that it wasn't that juicy to begin with.
Far be it from me to call Benjamin Allbright a mouthpiece. I don't think that's what he is. He is very plugged into that Broncos front office. I don't think he's a company man in the same way that some people might say Mike Kliss is. All right. But at the same time, one thing we got to keep in mind is NFL teams, they utilize their sources in media, their trusted sources, strategically. So if this got out there and it creates the perception in the NFL zeitgeist that John Elway may have been tampering with Aaron Rodgers, and this is just tinfoil a little bit, all right, keeping this as far as perspective here. Wouldn't you, if you're a front office guy, get on the horn to some of your sources and debunk it ASAP? I mean, that's what I would do if it were me. Now, that doesn't mean that's what happened here, all right, but it's something to consider. Here's what she actually said, Romy Bean of CBS Denver. Quote, "I know for a fact that Aaron Rodgers and John Elway have had contact these past couple of weeks. I know for a fact they were playing golf together in California. I know that has happened, even though that's tampering or whatever. But how else does John Elway woo guys but on the golf course? I actually have this story corroborated on two different sides, which is pretty wild. One is from someone in the golf world who booked the rounds, which is verified. And the other end, by chance, I had a friend whose friends were playing at this club that weekend, and John and Aaron came up and played poker with them. So corroborated on two sides, and no one is talking about that," closed quote. So I think there's a little bit more to this. I'm just being honest. I said fake news up front, a little hyperbole here. I do think there's some there. I just don't think it necessarily crossed any line. I couldn't say if it crossed any ethical line of tampering as far as NFL rules are concerned.
But also, here's my thing. She says, "I know for a fact," but unless you witnessed it with your own eyes, it's not a fact. You're trying to get those things through sources, and that could be the telephone game. That could be an unverified speculation. It could be someone saw the wrong person. So it's not a fact if you're still going through middlemen to get your information. It very well could be, like Benjamin Allbright stated, they did run into each other. Like he said, in passing at the same course in February. So this was before all the A-Rod talk came out, all the trade chatter, before he was even disgruntled. They're both from California. They're both super wealthy. They both like golf. I think that's the similarities here, and we shouldn't read too much into it, Chad, beyond that, especially when you compound this with what we heard about Rodgers today. Was that apparently there's been communication from both sides, the Packers camp and Aaron Rodgers camp, and they're talking about a new contract now. So it looks like what we thought all along since the night of the draft. Aaron Rodgers used the Broncos to get what he wanted, and that was an ego stroke in the form of paper money.
Yeah, I mean, it really shifted over last weekend. And this week in particular, I mean, all the guys that were reporting, it's looking like, 60-40, including great reporters, intrepid, dare I say, reporters like James Palmer of NFL Network. It's looking 60-40. Rodgers is going to be dealt. And the Broncos, they're first in line from Diana. I always forget her last name, from ESPN. All that stuff, all right, to suddenly turning on a dime. No, the Packers are talking to him. They put a real offer in front of him on a new contract. that would basically ameliorate some of these hard feelings and give him the confidence that this is my team for the foreseeable future based on the guaranteed money that the Packers would be offering. So it really doesn't seem like Aaron Rodgers is going to leave Green Bay. I mean, never say never. Stranger things, right? We cover the NFL. I've been covering the NFL now for almost a decade. I've seen some really weird crapola happen that you just couldn't have predicted, but it just doesn't feel like it's going that way, Zach.
Well, first of all, we have Casey Martin in the chat here, and he's the pro Rodgers anti-lock guy and the anti-Kelberman guy. They might have had a conversation, Casey, but it could have been about the weather. It could have been about golf. It could have been about anything. There are two human beings in the offseason, and you mentioned that the chatter started after the NFC title game. I'm talking about the trade chatter where it was like, it's a done deal. It was all of Denver media reporting that on draft night. It was, just sign the papers and he's a Bronco. It didn't work out that way. It was far from it. He manipulated and massaged and finessed the Broncos to get what he wanted out of Green Bay. It's the same thing we told you on draft night. It's the same thing that's going to happen now and after June 1st. He's not coming to Denver.
All right, guys, get your questions ready. I see we got a few super chats stacked up. We're going to get to all those here in just a moment. Quickly, though, some matters of business, all right? Make sure you're connected with us on social media, starting with our Twitter account at Huddle Up Pod. While you're doing that, make sure you follow our main account, the mother account at Mile High Huddle on Twitter. If you have those two accounts followed, you're not going to miss anything related to the pod or any breaking Broncos news and analysis. Also, you're going to want to make sure while you're at it that you're following our great producer, John Cronenberg, a.k.a. Buona Beast, on Twitter at John K. MHH, my fellow football priest, Zack Kelberman at Kelberman NFL on Twitter, myself at Chad and Jensen. And then also, guys, you want to make sure you're following the show, connecting on Facebook, all right? Easy to find. Open up the app, search Huddle Up Pod. You'll see our page, or navigate with the link facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. If you're liking and following the page, you will be automatically entered into our weekly giveaways. Might be a hat, might be a mug, might be a cool, signed piece of memorabilia from us to you, something like that. As long as you're liking and following the Facebook page, you're in on that. Speaking of Facebook, if you want access to our VIP video and podcast content, you got to become a super supporter on Facebook. Go to the main Mile High Huddle page. Hard to miss, all right? 95,000 fellow Broncos fans following that page. You'll see a big blue button at the top that says Become a Supporter. Click that. Follow the steps, $5 a month. You're in like Flynn. You get Kelberman's Corner every Sunday at noon Mountain Time and the Trickle Zone on Saturdays, noon Mountain Time. So check that out. And then last thing here, gang, check out the merch store, huddleuppod.com. We got some really cool football priests designs coming up very soon. We got some really cool Priest and the Beast designs coming up very, very soon. So check it out, huddleuppod.com. Get your swag on. In the meantime, you can get a trucker hat. You can get one of the football priest hat. You see Zach rocking there. A little something for everybody, shirts, hoodies, tank tops, the wikes, all right? It's another way to support what we're doing here. And if you're not in a position to do those type of things, it's all good. We are seriously satisfied and just thrilled to death to have you with us here in the live stream, or if you're listening after the fact as an on-demand podcast. But please do these three things at the very least, all right? Make sure you're subbed. Subscribe, especially key if you're on YouTube, Apple Pods, Spotify, etc. Like this video on YouTube and Facebook, especially if you want to help get this content in front of other Broncos fans who might not be aware of this community and these shows each and every night. And then 3 is the litmus test, all right? Share it out there. Share this video out on your social media if we're doing a good job, or if at the very least you respect the effort, because that's going to help us continue to grow and reach those new like-minded Broncos fans wandering the desert just like you used to be, all right? Appreciate you guys. All right, let's grab Muhammad. And did anybody, John, from last night's pod get the trivia question right? I said that Muhammad named his brand new baby son a name that I'm sure probably didn't come from the fact that it's the first name of a very well-known Bronco, but it turned out to be. Has anyone guessed that accurately, John? Did you see it? Does anyone get a winner chicken dinner? All right, here's the spoiler. Malik. Look at that cute little baby Malik. Hey, Muhammad, dude, seriously, congrats. I'm about to join you, but probably by this time next week, or very well by this time next week, I'm going to have a little baby son myself that's brand new to the world. So appreciate your support as always, my friend, and congrats on the new addition.
Yeah, very cool name as well. Malik Jackson was a great player, great Bronco, and it's a very worthwhile man to name him after. Once again, Mo, congrats with your son and congrats to your family. We hope everyone is doing very well.
Real quick, censorship is the way. You got to forgive us, my friend. We're just, look, man, when we're late, it's usually because there's something popping on the newswire. That's what our job is, first and foremost, is to cover the news on the written side at milehighhuddle.com. So if something's popping in the newswire, one of us might be delayed hopping on. And if one of us is delayed, we just have to wait. We're both delayed. So we appreciate your patience. But hopefully, good things come to those who wait. Hopefully it's not too big a deal for you. All right, let's grab here a super chat from Bill Anderson. What's up, Bill? It's good to see you in the chat. Thank you for the support, my friend. He says, Zach, Green Bay wants too much. Let the Raiders take Aaron Rodgers and destroy their future. Yeah, is good, but not for 3 years. I'm not sure on that last part, but I think we get the gist of what he's trying to say here, Zach.
He is good, but he's also going to be 38. And the last trade proposal we saw was 3 first-round picks, Bradley Chubb, Drew Lock, and Dalton Reisner, on top of also a couple mid-round picks. It's just way too much. I don't think he's coming to Denver, and I don't think he's going to Vegas. I don't think he's going anywhere. It's the same thing we've been saying all offseason. He's staying in Green Bay because he's going to get what he wants, and that's the assuasion of being the locked-in franchise quarterback with an astronomical cap figure. He's made $240 million. He wants more. He's about to get it.
Yep. Yeah, that's going to hit the wire sometime between now and June 1st. So sometime, I'm guessing, within the next 10 days or so, it's going to be a big news story. Breaking, Aaron Rodgers agrees to fat new, maybe not market resetting deal, but a deal that provides enough guaranteed money for him to toe the company line and stop with the passive aggressive stuff in the media and show up to Packers activities and take care of business. Zach, it just seems like that's the way it's going. And that's why it's like a question we got last night. Hey, how much of the Aaron Rodgers thing, the fact that it broke on the night of the draft, did that have to do with the Broncos not taking Justin Fields or not taking Mac Jones? And to this day, I remain adamant it had nothing to do with that. Broncos never really planned on drafting a quarterback unless you believe some of the rumors that if they were it was going to be Trey Lance. And Trey, of course, drafted way before the Broncos went on the clock. So it's a vote of confidence in Drew Lock. Now, it might be a little bit of a shaky vote of confidence, not an absolute perfect, blind faith show of confidence in Drew Lock, but it's a show of confidence nonetheless.
Yeah, he wants that money to fend off Jordan Love, all of 0 regular season snaps as an NFL quarterback. So it's just his ego, and we've talked about that at length. And real quick, before we get to that, Nathan Brown, you are another troll. I'm going to call you out real quick. I said the entire offseason they're going to re-sign Vaughn or keep Vaughn around. I was among the few that was advocating for Vaughn's retention. So I don't know why you're spreading fake news, but you're not going to last by doing that.
Kind of like we weren't going to sign Vaughn. All right. Whatevs, essay. Let's grab here. Riley Malloy. Welcome. Riley, appreciate you, my friend. Support means a lot to us. Connect on Twitter, all right? And if you're already connected with us on Twitter, reach out and do one of these in the mentions, and so we can connect your name to whatever your Twitter account might be, because oftentimes they're not exactly the same, so it's a lot of guesswork. But appreciate you, dog. He says, Chad and Zach are legendary. Men walking amongst boys. Hey, dude, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. Hopefully we'll see you week 3 in Denver, all right? The home opener for your Denver Broncos. We're going to be there. Big old MHH tent, meet and greet, live podcast, barbecue, some beverages. It's going to be a gas.
And maybe a dunking booth. You guys can throw tomatoes at me until I fall in the water. I'm sure you guys will get off on
that. Doug, what's up, dude? Appreciate you, my friend. He says, what's up, Chad and Zach? Remember to smash. That's right, smash. I got to remember that verbiage, man. That's what the kids say on the YouTuber. Smash the like button, ladies and gents. Excited to see how these camp battles play out. Hashtag state of being. Yes, indeed. There are some marquee camp battles shaping up, including, of course, the number 1 Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater. But also, Zach, it's going to be really interesting to see how things play out between Melvin Gordon and rookie second rounder Javonte Williams.
Yes, and what Melvin Gordon said recently, I believe it was a recent podcast or interview, he said he still wants to show the Broncos he's still a high-end back. So he's very much motivated. Merlot Gordon, I hope for the best for him to get the most out of his contract, but I think Pookie will be pushing him from week one, and it's a matter of time before Williams becomes the Broncos' RB1.
Real quick, John, by chance, if you have, of course, you got Zach Lee Butler, but we need Zeus, Jeff, Tom, Mike, and then we're current to where I'm at, FYI. So while I scroll down here, John's got Zeus queued up. Man, it's just been great. Like this whole week, Zeus has been in the chat, I think, pretty sure every night that we've gone live, and including on Sunday for Kelberman's Corner. And it's just when Zeus, the patron saint, and the first face etched up on MHH Mount Rushmore is in the house, man. It just all is right with the world. So love you, Stu. Appreciate it. He says, hi, all. Awesome pod as always. Thanks, bro.
Y'all want to know how legendary Stu is? We had a Super Chat superstar give a Zeus during his interview. So that's the legend of Stu McPeak, and we appreciate you, Stu. You know how much we do, but more than you even know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hope the fam's doing well. All right, let me see here. I'm going to try and find some Facebook action after we grab Dale's extremely generous Super Chat.
Thank you.
Which, by the way, Dale, did we not book you for next week? I want to say, right? Nope, that's Zach. And then you are in June. All right, cool. Dale, dude, seriously, thank you so much for that level of generosity. It really does help keep the lights on here at MHH as far as the pods and the live videos and all that. So thank you, buddy. He says, I've had a rough couple last days, but I ordered some Football Priest swag. I finally scored a PS5. Dude, where'd you get the PS5? John has been my eyes and ears trying to help me lock down a PS5 for my teenager. No dice. Congrats on that. And watching the Best Broncos podcast, it's feeling like a victory Monday for me. Thanks, Chad, Zach, and John. Well, I'm sorry to hear, Dale, that you've had a rough couple of days, but your football priests are here. Whatever we can do to help you exercise those demons, you let us know, man. Thank you, buddy.
Dale, you got the PS5. We're envious of you, so we hope you have a good night enjoying that, and we appreciate your patronage to the store, and we hope you like the swag that you picked up.
Indeed. All right, real quick here. Let me see what we got on Facebook, all right? And any Twitches, any Twitters, I'm going to try and keep an eye out as long as it's relevant to the conversation. Meantime, Zach, would you mind getting started here with Jeff,
yes,
and then I'll circle back.
Absolutely. Jeff jumping in. Jeff Hepner. Sounds like a new name, Chad. I'm not sure. We never heard that one before. So, Jeff, welcome. $4.99 Super. Appreciate you so much. Good to have you around. He goes, happy to be live tonight, guys. Work usually gets in the way. So happy to be a part of the show tonight. Can't wait for Drew to prove people wrong. Let him hate Jeff. We appreciate you for joining in with us tonight. And we have another Druther on our hands, Chad, another lock supporter. You don't have to worry about whispering or tiptoeing on this podcast, Jeff. You are more than welcome. This is your, I hate using this term, but it can be your safe space for your lock fandom. We like having you around, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, I know it's not your very, very first Super Chat, Jeff, but seriously, man, welcome and thank you. Appreciate your contributions. Help us keep that conversation going in the chat. Good topics, great engagement, good conversation with the community. So really appreciate that, my brother. And yeah, we're really excited to see how this is going to play out for Drew. Shout out to Aaron Lynch. What's up, buddy? Always great to have you in the chat, my friend. Hope you've been well. All right, let me see here. Leroy. I think I concur with Leroy here on Facebook. Drew Lock has that look. He looks focused. He has that look like he's going to have a breakout season this year, in my opinion. Salute. Yeah, that was something that, right back at you, dog. That's something that if you've watched the very few clips that we've been able to get from phase 2 this week, I mean, he's got the kind of high and tight new haircut. I think it's the shortest I've seen his hair on top. He kind of had that like new age pompadour thing going. Like my teenagers had that. And now it's down to past the ears thing. But for a while there, the trendy thing amongst the youngsters was this newfangled almost pompadour minus the pomade, or whatever, the grease hair. It's not that. It's just kind of loose like that. That was his hair. Now it's like, Zach, like, why do you think the Marines, when you first get there, there's 2 reasons when you get to boot camp, your head gets buzzed. All right. One of them is almost like, look, you're a new person. We're shedding the skin. This is a new you. But the other part of it is, hey, man, you need to be a machine. You need to be ergonomic, aerodynamic. Like you need to be a weapon. And so you need to be sleek. Let's get rid of that hair. And it's almost like that same kind of mindset, I think, Zach, for Drew, which is like, hey, man, this is it. I got it high and tight on the haircut, and I got to attack this thing. I haven't seen every snap and every rep he's taken, obviously, at phase 2. But I do think that there's a little something to that buzz that he seems to be uber focused. And that goes beyond fans. We've heard it from some of his teammates, too.
He's also looking fairly svelte from the video that we saw. He hasn't been, watching Netflix and eating DoorDash all day. He's been in the facility practicing, running around, doing cardio. He looks like he's been just focused on one thing and one thing only through the offseason, through the criticism, through the pandemic, and that's football. And it's very early. We can only judge him on brief clips that we've seen so far. But from those brief clips, it's encouraging.
Zach Lee Butler, what's going on, buddy? Great to have you back in the chat. Thanks for the support. A very well-known superstar to Zach, myself, and John. He says, keep it up, guys. Training camp cannot come any faster. Underwear practices don't do much for me. Yeah, I mean, it's better than a sharp stick in the eye, as my dad would say, right? It's better than nothing. But in this case, it's what I want when we get on-field activities of any sort during the offseason. To me, it's just that. It kind of engenders that feeling like we're getting closer to it mattering again, right? We're getting close to football being back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I want the things to count for real, the practices, training camp, preseason, regular season, but I'm not going to lie. I got very excited seeing Courtland Sutton on the practice field running around again at mostly full speed. So for things like that, I think it's worthwhile, and it gets me excited for what's to come later on.
Antonio on YouTube. What's up, Antonio? Thanks for being with us tonight, my friend. He says, Locke showed improvement the last 5 games of the season. Let's build on that. Zach, hold that thought just for a second, because Franklin here says, if it ain't hating, right? People say, the Locke haters. It ain't hating. If we can't critique Locke's poor play, why label us as haters just because we have reservations about his progress? Well, here's the thing, Franklin, all right? I think it changes into being a hater when it literally becomes an incest. It goes from being misgivings, reservations, to outright like looking for the hole in the boat, outright finding any reason whatsoever to throw this dude under the bus. All right. Because when that happens, that definitely swings the pendulum toward hate. All right. But really what it's about is you've asserted a take, and now you feel like even in the face of new evidence, if you get it, you got to defend the take more so than actually breaking down the reality of a situation. That's where things really start to get ski-wampus. So just beware of that, Franklin. We're with you. It's fair to critique any player on your team. All right. Far be it from us to say, here's how to be a fan. That's up to each and an individual fan the world over. But just beware of going too far down the rabbit hole. This guy is a Denver Bronco. This guy, I mean, agree or not, Franklin, as up and down as we've seen Drew, especially in 2020, would it not be in the team's best interest to have this kid succeed and turn the corner? Do you not want to see that happen? So that's all. That's, just beware of some of that stuff.
Franklin, your definition's wrong, first and foremost. If by that definition, Chad and I would be haters because we've been critiquing Locke's play as well. We're not oblivious to that. We're not covering our eyes and shielding our ears. We know his shortcomings. We know what he has to get better at. And we know that if he doesn't get better at those things, he should be and will be replaced. That's the bottom line. That being said, though, it's like certain fans, if he throws a 50-yard touchdown, should have been 51 yards. If he throws for 300 yards, should have been 400 yards. Like you said perfectly, which I agree with, Chad, they look for any little reason to hate the guy, and that becomes an obsession. It becomes from professionally disliking him to personally disliking him. So that's where the hater mentality or the anti-Locke mentality comes in. You are well within your right to critique him. I would expect that. I critique him. He's far from a finished product, and he's far from a franchise quarterback. But to dismiss him outright, say he has no redeeming qualities, he's Paxton Lynch 2.0, it was all on him last year, that becomes the derangement syndrome, and that becomes the hater about Locke.
Yeah. It's like my grandma used to say, and maybe some of your grandmas or mothers would say, if you don't have something nice to say about someone, don't say anything at all. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying to you, if you have a critique of Drew, just hold it in, don't say it. But another thing my grandmother said, maybe this could help you, all right, is if you're going to say something negative about somebody, then also try to, in the same breath, say something positive. So when you point out the critiques of Drew, because again, he is a Denver Bronco, right? You love the Denver Broncos. So when you find something negative to say about Drew, or you want to say, look, the 2 picks he threw in the fourth quarter in that Patriots game, blah, blah, blah. But then also say, but you know what? He was dropping dimes through the first 3.5 quarters, and his wide receivers were dropping touchdowns all game long.
Exactly.
So just try and balance that out, and then it won't be perceived as hate. All right. Tom, what's up, bro? Good to see you up there north of the 49th parallel in Canada. He says, Elway would have stuck with luck project. Stay with the program. Don't think he'd go after Aaron Rodgers, guys. Your thoughts? I definitely disagree on that. I think if Elway had a freaking snowball's chance in hell to land Aaron Rodgers, he's doing what he could to get him, because Elway's a Hall of Fame quarterback, had a lot of success with that model with Peyton. If he felt like he had even a ghost of a chance, he's going to try. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't believe in Drew. That doesn't mean that he doesn't think that the upside is there, or still sees the upside in Drew. But guys, Aaron Rodgers is not only a proven commodity. I mean, this is the reigning NFL MVP, and yes, he's 38. But look, this is a guy going to be in the Hall of Fame very, very soon, and he wants to play for many more years. At least 3 years probably. So if you can get him here, Elway would be a guy seeing about what could we do to make that happen. It just doesn't seem like he's going to ultimately end up leaving Green Bay.
I mean, according to Romy Bean, it seems like Elway's already working on getting Rodgers to Denver. So, yeah, if he was still GM, he was a star chaser, Chad. That's the censored way to put that. I mean, the guy pounced on Joe Flacco when he became available, and he thought he was getting 2012 Joe Flacco. So, yeah, if Elway was still calling shots, he would have probably surrendered the capital necessary to acquire Aaron Rodgers, because that's how Elway thought. There was no long-term foresight with John. As much as I love him, as great as he was for the organization and still is, he always believed in kicking in the can down the road. That can now is permanently affixed to George Payton's hands. He's taking it everywhere he goes, and he's taking slow, deliberate steps forward, not kicking it and punting it 10 yards down the road.
Mike Kane, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Appreciate you. He says, hey, guys, been a minute, but always good to grab you guys live, and great job as always. Appreciate you. Just here to rep my boy Locke. I heard he's been working hard, and then, of course, the appropriate trio of emojis that we all know what it means. Yeah, it's the buzz so far. I mean, Zach, we haven't heard word one that is bad about Drew. Nothing yet. Talking 2021 from players and coaches and people there. To give you concern, any concerns people have about Drew, or whatever concerns were kind of baked in coming out of the 2020 campaign.
Yeah, it's funny that, people, his receivers, even George Payton, his linemen, they all say positive things. And then you have Mike Lombardi as the only guy that's saying anything negative, the failed GM, and now he's a television analyst. So I think I'll side with the players and the coaches and those who are around Drew, because it seems like that's the consensus, not the one erroneous report that came out about dumbing down the playbook from a guy who seems like he should work for Pro Football Focus. He has a major axe to grind against Locke.
Hey, real quick, shout out to our Facebook superstar senders tonight, all right? John, keep an eye out for any questions or comments from this list of names. Brad Murdoch, what's up, buddy? Travis Tarbox, thank you, bro. Gary Leach Palmer, legend. Eddie Keating, what's up, Ed? And Dave Glassman, another legend. So appreciate each and every one of you. We're going to try and find any questions or comments that you had in the chat, but thank you for the stars, guys. It all adds up.
Thank you.
There's one. Travis, what's up, buddy? Hoping Locke takes a giant leap this year and finally solves our QB problems. Yeah, it's like look, before the draft, you guys heard me say this often, that if you had half the fan base just pining, clamoring, draft a quarterback. I don't care who it is. Use your first round pick on a quarterback. And I'm saying, no, use that first round pick on a player that can help you win right now and in the future, because it's actually in your best interest to stick it out one last year with Drew, because if he hits, and that first round pick, instead of it going to Justin Fields, who would be sitting on the sideline, or even if he ends up playing, teams don't win with rookie quarterbacks. That can officially gets kicked into 2022 if you end up rolling with a Q. It's in your best interest this year to take a non-Q that can help you, all right? And for Drew to succeed. Because if Drew can succeed, guys, who is the last drafted quarterback to make a Pro Bowl for the Denver Broncos? Jay Cutler in 2008. That's how long it's been. And then if you go back before that, I mean, John Elway, very prolific, but as we all know, wasn't drafted by the Broncos. Jake Plummer, not drafted by the Broncos. Brian Greasy, he had some modest success, and then things just went off a cliff quickly. Former second-round pick of the team. That's probably who you would have to point to as the next most successful guy. Jay Cutler, Tim Tebow. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel. We need Drew Lock to succeed. And if Drew succeeds, Zach, that means Vic keeps his job. That means Pat Shurmur keeps his job. Ugh. That means fans get what they want in the standings. Everyone's happy. So funnel that energy. My advice as your football priest here, whether you're asking for it or not, funnel that energy in a positive direction toward Drew, because that's what's going to make everyone happy if this dude hits. Forget about what your takes are. Forget about whatever position you've dug on Drew. Always, I mean, we'll give you our takes. Like when we were talking about Garrett Bowles before he turned a corner, I mean, I was very, very high on Garrett for 2 years. And then after that third year, Zach, my tonality shifted and I was off that train because it just wasn't coming out in the wash game after game, rep after rep. But you know what? When he did finally turn that corner and there was no denying it, I didn't say, oh, wait, let me find the hole in the boat so I can continue to get myself into a corner and assert, whatever it takes so that I can be right. I just said, look, I'm going to fall on the sword. I was wrong. Thank God it worked out, because now the Broncos have a solid left tackle, a second-team all-pro left tackle, and you can check that box that it's not something you got to worry about for the foreseeable.
Should have been first team, though, Chad. Get rid of him, cut him right away, replace him. That's the same level of overreaction when it comes to Drew Lock. And it's a great example you brought up, because I wasn't the biggest Garrett Bowles fan, and I was hammering him like the anti-Lock haters are hammering Drew. But I still gave him that chance because he gave the Broncos the best chance to win. And if he succeeded, it would make the Broncos a better team overall. I don't understand how that's a hard concept to follow. So if Drew does well, that means the Broncos do well. And if the Broncos do well, it means they're back in the playoffs or the playoff hunt. Isn't that all what we want for Denver? Be back in the playoffs, back to relevancy, back to games that matter in January. And that's how I feel about Locke. And if we're wrong about it, we'll be the first ones to say we were wrong. But to not give him that chance is asinine to me. And that's why I'm going to commend George Peyton. Even if Locke bombs this year by any chance whatsoever, I'm still going to commend George Peyton for giving him the opportunity, for not being trigger happy, for not being impulsive, for not selling the farm, for giving a young quarterback a third year and a second year in the same system.
Indeed. Willie, what's up? Everyone knows Willie. I mean, a superstar whose legend precedes him, but of course we had him on the show last week, which was really great. He's got a message here. Been gone a little bit. Shout out to John. And then, of course, the lock emojis. Good to have you with us, Willie. It's just not the same without you, dog. So welcome. And then we got Kiaka in the house too in Hawaii. What's up, bro? Thank you so much for your support. I mean, unbelievable. And John, I see that he's got another one. I don't know if you can get that one ready if you got access to that one here, but wow. Kiaka, love you, dude. Seriously, you've been a real joy to get to know in what modest way we can, or we've been able to through these interactions, and we want to get you on the show. I don't recall, did you shoot me an email or a DM so that we can organize that? Because we definitely want to get you on the show. But he says, sending our aloha to the beast and the priest. And of course, Broncos country, $15 for number 15, my son's favorite number. His name is Kai. Can he get a shout out? Hey, shout out, Kai. You got a really, really cool pops. So count your lucky stars and your blessings on that. He says he loves to watch with me, Kiaka and Kai. Very cool. Hopefully I pronounced Kai's name correctly, but that's a cool name too, Zach.
It is. And look at that. Look at the generosity from Kiaka jumping in. $50 super. Thank you so much, Kiaka. He adds, I am a diehard Denver Broncos fan. Drew Lock happens to be the quarterback. Thus, I will not partake in the hashtag lock blocking. That's funny, Kiaka. Simple concept. Really love you, my dogs. We love you, Kiaka, so much. Thank you for your support. And again, shout out Kai. You have a great pops.
And yeah, listen, I know you live out there in Hawaii in paradise, but if you can make it to Denver September 26th for the home opener this week, we'd love to meet you in person, my friend. So love you. Appreciate you. Yeah. Here's one also from Jeff C., another long-time OG superstar. Appreciate you, Jeff. Where you been, by the way? I haven't seen you in the chat for a while. Great to have you, though. He says, why so anti-Rodgers? Lock better be Lock
Be
better,
damn-
damn good, be damn good if true. We're not anti-Rodgers. I mean, sometimes we say things, and when it comes to communication, it's not always what you say; it's how you say things. And so maybe we have, the last week or two, our tonality might have shifted a little bit. But I'm telling you right now, Jeff, if I had a legitimate shot to get Aaron Rodgers, provided I'm not being asked to give up, it's got to be within the realm of the plausible. I can't completely gut this team's draft capital in order to get him here at 38. If this was 32-year-old Aaron Rodgers, it'd be a different story. But still, I would say, hey, man, go try and make it happen. But it just doesn't feel like it's going that way, Jeff.
Praising Locke doesn't make me pro-Locke, and criticizing Aaron doesn't make me anti-Rodgers. So I don't know why we have to be forced into these boxes. Both things can be true at the same time. And it reminds me of the biggest criticism from last year about Locke, whereas Broncos fans think it was solely him. Two things can be true. It was him, and it was also Pat Shurmur. It was the blocking. It was the receivers. So we can acknowledge Rodgers as a great quarterback, future Hall of Famer. He is all of that, but he's also 38, and he would cost a pretty penny. All of those things are true. Doesn't make us anti or pro.
The doctor in the house, PhD, Christopher L. Bush. What's up, buddy? Thank you so much for the support, and it's great to have you in the chat, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Michael, appreciate the support on that too for Zach. It means a lot.
Thank you.
Here's one on Twitch from JWusso989. Thank you for watching on Twitch. Hopefully you're – whoops, sorry, John. Put him back on. I accidentally clicked I don't know if you can still grab him. There he is. Hopefully you have subbed over there, so welcome. Thank you. He says, patience is the key with Drew Lock. 2021 and a full normal offseason plus being pushed by Teddy will make Locke a better quarterback and leader on this team. Yeah, see, this is another topic, Zach, where my opinion has evolved, because this time last year, I really wasn't questioning the wisdom of John Elway only bringing in Jeff Driscoll as anything noteworthy as far as veteran presence in the QB room, because my opinion at that time was, all right, you live, you learn, right? My opinion at that time was, no, Drew doesn't need it. He needs to be perceived within the locker room as the guy. He needs to feel like I'm the cock of the walk. This is my team. Not really feeling like there's even a threat of anyone else in the quarterback room that could split the locker room or anything. I was wrong, dead wrong. That's a topic I was dead wrong, because I think even though Drew Lock's obstacles last season, which were unique to the year 2020, had nothing to do with that. The fact that he didn't have that competitive anxiety, all right, I think did play a part in him taking so long to launch, all right? And really, it was week 11 where he started getting his footing, and by then, the season's over, man. Like, you've made your bed, call the curtains, stick a fork in it. The season's probably done. So I think this time that Bill Parcells' coach psychology of, hey, you got to sing for your supper, we're bringing in a plausible threat. It's one of the maxims of the NFL, and I was ignorant enough to look past that, thinking, no, Drew just needs to be, the guy. No, I think that was wrong, and this is the right move, bringing in someone who could plausibly beat him in a competition, all right, because I think it will see the cream rise to the top in Drew.
Yeah, but also someone that's not going to overwhelm him with talent. Just by far better quarterback. I mean, by arm talent alone, by upside, Drew Lock is a much better quarterback. And this is my take on it. I believe the Broncos went into the offseason thinking, we're okay with starting Drew if it comes to it. We'll stick our nose into Stafford and Rodgers and Deshaun Watson, but nothing's going to be handed to him at all. Nothing is grandfathered to Drew. He has to earn every rep, every snap, every game, every start, every opportunity, because he didn't do that last year. He didn't hold on to the mantle and become that franchise quarterback. So that's where I think the thinking is with Locke.
Ed says on Facebook, watching the Locke haters get so desperate to get another QB. I saw someone post on this page today, we need to get Jameis Winston. Yeah, facepalm indeed, my friend. We feel you on that.
What?
John Houston, what's up, buddy? John, do you have a Twitter account? Because I always try to find you on Twitter after you super chat, and I never can. So if you're there, connect and do one of these in the mentions. He says, it gets really draining to listen to Building the Broncos. All those guys do is trash Locke. It's very frustrating where I don't listen to them anymore. Can you have them be more positive, please? No, I'm not going to strong arm the guys to assert a specific take or perspective. I mean, from an editorial perspective on Mile High Huddle, that is something I control in terms of, Zach and I mean, I'm the publisher, Zach's the deputy editor. We try to make sure that whatever guys are writing is not going too far down a rabbit hole. I've never had to really do much on that front, though. On the written side, everybody stays pretty well balanced. But guys, let me tell you something. When you get a microphone in front of you, all right, and you're being thrown topics and questions and things like that, and you're speaking off the top of your head, sometimes things come out and they aren't always delivered with sugar. So they can come off more harsh than maybe even the take might be. And then you look at Nick and Carl in particular. Let me tell you something. Carl is one of the sweetest men I've ever known in my life. That dude doesn't have a negative thought about anybody, let alone a Bronco. But and then Nick, he's a data guy. He's as pragmatic as it gets. He would even tell you, I'm a curmudgeon. He's a self-styled curmudgeon. He's a doubting Thomas. All right. He's a show me that proof in the pudding guy. And Drew didn't provide that proof in the pudding, not in a completely definitive way last year. And so that's their position until proven otherwise. They doubt, just like some of you, that Drew has what it takes to rise to the occasion. So I would just say, look, whatever that takes away for you in watching Building the Broncos, hopefully it is made up for in the fact that those two guys know more about football than I do. I mean, from an X's and O's perspective, from a scouting perspective, all that stuff. Those guys are very knowledgeable, experts in the field, and so hopefully you can kind of pick up some of the slack on that side of what they deliver on Tuesdays.
To each their own. To each their own.
All right, let me see here. Corey with a interesting topic on YouTube. By the way, we're at 47 minutes coming up on, so we got to kind of start moseying. Do you think we will sign Morgan Moses and drop an offensive tackle? Keep a Bobby Massey for depth and competition. We have the cap to do it for sure. So for those of you who missed it or who might be wondering who Morgan Moses is, former high-round draft pick of the Washington football team. I want to say he's been starting at right tackle for Washington, but either way, they cut bait. And I tweeted about it today. Interesting, like eyeballs, like, oh, this is interesting. It's worth taking a look at, but at the same time, you just signed two guys. Right. One of them just signed his deal today. And, you got to be careful not to go too overboard. I think they've already kind of made their bed in terms of the two guys they want to compete for right tackle. And as interesting as it would be, Morgan Moses, former premium round draft pick of another team, Zach, I mean, you can it's like one of the old sayings, too many cooks ruin the broth, right? Be careful of that.
I mean, it's hindsight now, but it seems like Denver shot its load too early. They signed two tackles when they had a better tackle become available. They could have gotten one for the price of two, but I don't think they need any more. And they're not going to cut a guy they just signed. Like you mentioned, Cam Fleming literally put pen to paper today. So between them, they have Quinn Bailey, they have Himmelman, they have Calvin Anderson. I think between those five, they should equal one Juwan James.
Kane Dawson, what's up, buddy? Appreciate the super chat. He says, just popping in to say hi for a minute, fellas. Well, we appreciate it. And thanks for the show of support on super chat. It means a lot to us. All right, let me mosey here. We haven't covered this, so might as well. R. Powell on YouTube. Did the Broncos have tryouts with kickers and long snappers today? I don't know about – well, I know that they did this week. I don't know if it was today. But to my knowledge, no one's been signed yet. And it's a very topic because we're talking specialists, and the Broncos already have a lot of money tied up in their kicker and punter, respectively. And then the guy, they found a new long snapper outside of one bad snap last year. He was really good for him, Jacob Bowman-Moyer. He had one bad snap that ended up in a safety for on a punt to Sam Martin. So it's they're just covering their bases. I mean, that's all I'll really say about it.
If you want the positive spin, it's that Peyton is turning over every rock to improve every position on the team, from a long snapper to punter to quarterback, and goes down the list. But whatever happens from that. I'm not going to get too excited about a third-string long snapper or a second-string punter. They're just fine with Bowman-Meyer and Sam Martin.
All right, John, real quick, I want to grab this from Dave on Twitch. What up, Dave? stars on Facebook, comments, engagement, conversation over on Twitch. Really appreciate you, Dave. He says, I don't think Drew needs to look over his shoulder. Teddy just makes the team better if Drew Lock happens to get injured and miss a game. Yeah, there's truth to that as far as, you need that fail-safe. You need that insurance. But I do think Teddy, I feel like I strayed too far in one direction on this with my tone a week or two back. I am not dismissive of Teddy. All right. I think Teddy is a more than competent NFL quarterback. But I think the book on Teddy at this point, from a macro perspective, as far as the NFL, those few GMs who thought, hey, man, this guy could still be a franchise Q, those dreams died in Carolina last year. No one's thinking that about Teddy anymore. Teddy is now viewed as a Band-Aid guy that can keep the ship afloat. He's like a Tyrod Taylor. That's what he is right now.
Exactly.
Maybe he can change that narrative. Maybe he can change that perspective. But because that's how I view him, all right, I don't see him as some overwhelming threat to Drew. But he's good enough, Dave, to definitely, and especially as a leader and a guy that just brings juice. I was talking to a guy that knows Teddy that said he's just the type of guy that when he walks into the room, the energy shifts. And not because he's some big rah-rah, type guy, but just that he just kind of has the it factor in that department. It's unfortunate that his tools and traits as a Q don't rise to that level, but so that's good for Drew to see. It's good for Drew to feel that competitive anxiety, and it's good for Drew to see how a leader who has had some success elsewhere, as modest as it might have been for Teddy, how that works. Osmosis is a thing.
Maybe he's turning heads because he's wearing 2 gloves whenever he walks into a room, Chad. We don't know that about Teddy. But here's my take on it. He is certainly better than Jeff Driscoll and Brett Rippon. He is a competent backup for sure, and even a bridge starter. But I happen to think it's more of a mindset in Denver. It didn't really matter who was going to be the backup quarterback. It was the Broncos were going to make Locke earn that job. So whether it was Rippon or Andy Dalton or anybody else, it was going to be an open competition. And as Vic Fangio said, 50-50, totally fair, and may the best man win. And honestly, as big of a Locke fan as we are, that's the right way to go about it, because nothing should be handed to him. He has to earn this job if he wants it.
John, as we grab this super here from Seth, I need Guillermo. I need Aaron, his first one. I need Anthony, and then Aaron's second one. I need Riley again, too. Riley had another one. So, FYI. Seth, what's up, dude? Appreciate the message and the super chat. He says, y'all are awesome. You're awesome,
You're
Seth.
awesome, Seth. Thank you.
Appreciate you, bro. All right, let me surf down and see what I can see here. Stand by. We want to try and get to as many as possible tonight. We got a little bit more time here. From Jay Roper on YouTube. Zach's right. If Drew's great, we are great. However, Drew did not prove anything to not draft Fields. That's my take, Zach. I understand yours, but I hope you understand mine.
You happen to think that Fields has a higher ceiling than Locke in the NFL, and you're going to have to, Jay, take that up with George Peyton. I'm not the one that passed on Fields at number 9. I mean, obviously, though, if you listen to the podcast the entire offseason, Shad and I are sitting up here telling you for weeks and weeks and weeks, don't be surprised if they pass on Fields. Don't be surprised if they pass on Mac Jones. I'm holding firm to the belief there was one quarterback in this draft class, realistically speaking, that Peyton would have pounced on, and that was Trey Lance. And as soon as he went off the board, it shifted into, okay, who is the best non-quarterback BPA on the board? And that was Pat Surtain. So, Jay, I understand it. You're a Fields fan, and you're not that high on Locke. I get that. But there's a reason why Peyton passed. And let's let that reasoning kind of prove itself over the course of the season.
Indeed. And definitely we respect all of everyone's take. We respect your opinions, and we try to understand them. We might not always get there. But we try to wrap our brain around it. And I think you said it with pretty straightforward. I don't think on one hand, yes, Drew didn't leave. I try not to use double negatives, but Drew didn't leave, no doubt, right, last year. He did allow, by virtue of his performance, doubt to creep in. But at the same time, I think he has shown enough, because, again, you're only focusing on the one side of the scale here. I think the other side of the positive things that we've seen, the 4 touchdowns on the road in week 14, I mean, even dating back to his rookie year in Houston, that game, the way he performed in a very hostile environment coming off a shoulder injury in New England. Yes, he ended up throwing those 2 picks in the fourth quarter, but that was after 3+ quarters of his guys letting him down. He was dropping dimes that day. So the reason I go back and rehash that is I think those high notes that he showed were enough to neutralize that feeling of we need to draft a Q. Yes, we know he didn't leave no doubt. There's still a possibility he could bust. If you're George Peyton, you're looking at that, you're going, hey, there's a possibility this kid might not work out. But at the same time, I've seen enough on the positive, and we put in enough time and energy to coach and develop him that we want to see that through. So, Guillermo, what's up, dude? That's a new name on Super Chat.
Yes.
Welcome. Connect on Twitter. He says, a truck driver and a diehard Broncos fan. I never get to listen live, but I never miss a show. Hey, dude, you're a sweetheart. Drive safe, bro. He says, thank you for making my day every day. Hashtag Priest, hashtag Denver Broncos for life, hashtag lock. Very cool, Guillermo. One of my high school best buddies is an over-the-road truck driver. So respect and props to you.
And drive safe indeed, Guillermo. Thank you for your support. We hope to see you around more often.
By the way, that is a cool name. I like the name Guillermo. Maybe that's what I should name my son, Guillermo Jensen. Maybe I should do that. I'm going to think about that. Aaron Lynch, what up, bro? Thank you for the super. He says, I was never pro-luck. I was never anti-luck. The Rodgers drama is a distraction from letting Drew have one more season to prove himself. We've invested. This is key. This next line Aaron says here. We've invested a lot in him. Hope he can make strides. Got to support whoever the quarterback is. Yes, and that's a big reason why when we say it's in the team's best interest to run it back one last time is because you have invested so much into him. And I don't just mean the time, but now look at this, 2 years without the playoffs. Now, 2019 missing the playoffs, that wasn't Drew's fault. That was Joe Flacco's fault. That was Brandon Allen's fault. That was Vic Fangio's fault, to be frank. But last year, I mean, you sacrificed the pain that you're absorbing as an organization because that's what it takes for a quarterback to navigate the trial and error learning curve. You have now paid those dues. You've invested a lot into him, and you sacrificed, see it through. And this, I mean, look, some would argue that one more year is not enough to say you saw it through. I'm not going to go that far. I think this is it. This is the point where, it's you either know it or you don't. And if you're not sure on either, that's an answer in and of itself. You move on and find a new quarterback in next year's draft. But well said, Aaron.
Totally fair analysis there. And it's interesting because the Broncos have invested a lot in Drew draft picks, like you mentioned, time and energy and hope and optimism, but they've also sacrificed getting other players, passing on Fields, passing on Trey Lance, maybe not trading for an Aaron Rodgers, not trading for Deshaun Watson. So they have a lot invested in Drew by all aspects. So that's why if he is the quarterback this year, support him. It's not that hard of a concept. If he's bad, he'll be replaced. It's really as simple as that.
Anthony, what's going on, buddy? It's good to see you. He says, man, feels good to catch you live. Normally, I listen on my long drive to work in the morning. Best thing to do at 3:30 a.m., LOL. My guy Locke gonna shut a lot of fans wrong. Hashtag let him hate. Love that, dude. Anthony, we love the cool anecdotes we hear from our community on how people work our show into their routines and their lives. So appreciate you, man, and the support.
3:30 in the morning, Anthony. You are a trooper. We appreciate you. Seriously.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person. That'd be a tough grind for me. Aaron again. Thanks, bro. Locke's new haircut is starting to reveal, dare I say it, a Peyton Manning caliber forehead.
Oh, God.
Where's the meme? We've seen the memes, right, of the Drew and Peyton head that's been like turned into one thing. He could still cut it shorter. Hold the phone, boys. The stars are aligning. PFF didn't think about that. Yeah, maybe there was some kind of a Peyton brain transplant. In order to fit that brain into Drew, he had to go high and tight. Maybe, get a cranial lift if that's a thing. I don't know, but well said. Thanks, Aaron.
I actually have some breaking news here, Chad. He's actually ranked the 34th best quarterback in the NFL by PFF after getting the haircut. So another knock on Drew Lock.
Indeed. I'm gonna see if I can find this meme real quick.
You should pull up. Did you the video that we were tagged in today? Did you see that with Locke and Teddy B?
I didn't quite understand that. That missed the mark for me. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm seeing here.
It was nightmare fuel. I'll be seeing that in my dreams tonight.
Most definitely. All right. Riley again. Thank you, Riley. Don't forget to connect on Twitter. He says, I won't be seeing you guys week 3 as I live in California the last couple of years, and I don't do Twitter. All right,
Smart man.
all good. My favorite thing about the show is the positivity. Broncos country is a state of being. Denver Broncos for life. Love that, dude. Yeah, man, if you can't make it, you can't make it. But Zach and I, we are, we're where we're at in our respective lives and careers and whatnot because we view life through the glass half full kind of lens. We try and find the silver lining. We try and find the positive takeaway. And so we don't do that in a sense to where we're blinded by what reality might be. But at the same time, we're trying to bring to you, optimism, generally positive outlook on your team. And that's, I think, a big part of what our job is as that goes beyond media, what we do here. We're not just here, pragmatic reporting the facts in my book. Here's what happened. Like that's got its place, right? But that's not what our job is. That's not what we want to do. Our job is to be more dynamic. Our job is to be more engaged with you. Our job is to be the way we have, defined our job is to be a little bit more meta than that.
Riley, you're so smart not to get entangled on Twitter because it's nothing but miserable, unhappy people there. And I can't go through life like that personally. I know you can't either, Chad. So I'll always take a glass half full approach. But if you go on Twitter, oh boy, it's a sea of negativity.
One of the 48 laws of power. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. All right, there's a little drop of wisdom for you. Brian Greenfield, absolutely a MHH Mount Rushmore superstar. What's up, BG? He goes, you guys should do the AM pods on Saturday or Sunday. Well, for what it's worth, all right, we have currently, Brian, in case you missed it, Facebook exclusives. If you're a supporter, you get Kelberman's Corner at noon. Now, that might not exactly be morning, but you get Kelberman's Corner at noon on Sunday and the Trickle Zone at noon on Saturday. Now, doing a morning show on Saturday and Sunday, guys, at some point I have to get some sleep, spend time with my kids, see my walk my dogs, pull some weeds in my backyard. We try and eat, breathe, live this, but at the same time, we do need a little bit of a wiggle room. You know what I'm saying?
I'm also not a morning person in the least, so y'all wouldn't want to see me in the morning. That's a fact.
I wish I was, though. My wife is, and
I'm not.
One of my sons takes after her. And from the time he was a little kid, man, as soon as that sun peeks over the first, horizon, boom, wide awake, eyes open, rocking and rolling. I wish I was that way. It takes me, it's a process for me to get it up and going, get my caffeine in me, and then, all right, now I'm good to go. Dale, appreciate you, Dale. If you're on Twitter, connect with us. Welcome. Thank you for that super chat, my friend.
Thank you, Dale. Good to see you around here.
In the shop with Willie once again. Appreciate you. We aren't getting Rodgers per sources with the crying, smiling face emoji. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen, guys. But it's been fun while it lasted, right? Like spitballing it and dissecting all the speculation and trying to lick our thumb, put it in the air, see which way the wind's blowing. We take joy in that. Hopefully you guys do as well. So, but it just doesn't seem like that that gust of wind is blowing in Mile High's direction for what
we still have that soft deadline though of June 2nd. People still holding out hope for a post June 1st trade. So we'll keep milking this, Chad, until we can't milk it any longer, until those udders are empty.
Mike on YouTube wants to know, what do you think of Peyton Manning saying he wants Rodgers to stay on the Packers? I think that's just a guy that I really don't read too much into it, because what I think you're thinking, Mike, is, well, is that because he's been mentoring Drew and so he's got a dog in the fight? I don't think that. I think that's just a guy who's been down the road, and he knows that even though his legend ended up paying dividends and was probably a good thing the way he left Indy, it's anguish, it's anxiety, it's, if you don't have to go through it, don't go through it.
And he's also, Peyton, he can speak from experience. He had kind of an acrimonious departure from Indianapolis and joining a new organization, so he's lending his opinion there. Same as Brett Favre did about Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, they were teammates, but Rodgers split from Green Bay was also a very messy divorce. It's just Peyton giving his opinion, same as Chad or I or anybody else.
Tom says here up in Canada, Scott Kennedy picked Drew as this year's dark horse on Broncos for Breakfast. That was this morning, Thursday, with Nick Kendall, guys. Yeah. So, guys, by the way, those two are killing it on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, trying to help give you some morning content for your commutes. And, Scott is not a Broncos fan. Scott is actually a longtime, well, he's one of my mentors in this business, but he's a longtime media guy, recruiting expert, college football expert. And he grew up a Falcons fan, and so he's doing a little bit of that. He's got his YouTube channel. Subscribe to Scott Kennedy's YouTube channel, by the way. It's easy to find. Scott Kennedy. That's it. But yeah, Scott is similar to Nick, very pragmatic. He's a scout at heart. And so he's not blowing smoke up when he asserts a take. Unlike myself or Zach, he's not cognizantly trying to put any kind of positive spin on anything. Scott, similar to Nick, just there's the way I see it. And if he says that he sees Drew as the primary dark horse for the Broncos this year, hey, we see that as a positive development.
And it's not just us. It's not just the Huddle Up podcast. Apparently there is some optimism on this network about Drew Lock. So look at that.
Yeah, guys, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 a.m. Mountain Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Broncos for Breakfast with Nick and Scott. So check that out. Really good content. And I mean, really good. Both the analytical stuff and, they can really go down rabbit holes in the best sense that are edifying, illuminating. You'll be better for checking out those live streams. And even if you miss them live, go back and listen to them on demand. So, all right, let me see here, guys. Corey H in the house. What up, Corey? Appreciate you, my friend. He says, a serious question for anyone and everyone. Does it mean nothing that Locke is the worst rated QB in the league in his second year? That doesn't seem like a red flag. Well, what stat exactly, Corey, are you talking about? All right. Or it's a little late in the pod to pull up stats and really break it down. But are you talking like Pro Football Focus's subjective rankings or subjective grading system? Are you talking about his overall QB rating? Are you talking about his completion percentage? Guys, what did you expect in terms of you got to know he's not going to give you a perfect product as a second-year guy in a pandemic-influenced season where he lost his number one wide receiver and suffered a right shoulder injury. So I'm not sure what you were looking for in that once all those dominoes fell into place. You know what I mean, Corey? But love you, bro. Appreciate the support. And if you want to send that to me as an email, I can break it down like in a mailbag on the site or something, buddy, because we're running out of time.
You know what's a red flag to me? Throwing interceptions, only winning 5 or 6 games. Those are the red flags I need, Corey. I don't need stats. I don't need analytics. I don't need data to tell me what my brain and eyes already see and interpret. So if he cleans up those red flags, we have something here. If he doesn't, he'll be replaced. It's really as simple as that. No stats necessary.
All right, guys, we got to really rapid fire these. I got to get going here. Simon in Canada. Love our Canadian community here. Our little slice of Broncos country up in Canada with MHH. Appreciate you, Simon. He says, I know they're just rookies, so my expectations are tempered, but I am so pumped to see how Pat Surtain and Baron Browning will perform this year. Much love for MHH. Yeah, man, it should be nice infusions of athletic bliss for this defense. I mean, they went out and upgraded cornerback, but they did nothing at linebacker except for drafting Baron Browning. So, yes, we're very excited to see how that plays out.
And we will know maybe right off the bat his impact in this defense because they're facing Evan Ingram in week one of the best tight ends in football. They're going to need Baron Browning to cover him. So if he's going to be that Achilles, the solution to that Achilles heel, the solution to that long-time bugaboo of covering tight ends and receivers and running backs, I'll be all for it. My favorite pick in this year's class for the Broncos.
All right, Shane Daniels, what's up, buddy? Appreciate you. He said, talk to my buddy who works in the Broncos training room. The things he's hearing around there is extremely positive concerning Locke. There you go. There's some more evidence or some more buzz or whatever you want to call it. But thanks for sharing that anecdote, bro.
It seems like there's nothing but positivity and optimism around Drew Lock from literally everyone connected inside the Broncos building. So I'm encouraged by that personally.
Mark Langley, another legendary MHH Mount Rushmore superstar and just diehard, true blue member of our community. What's up, bro? How are you? Appreciate you. Can't complain, dude. Everything's going good. Hope you're doing well as well, Mark. Dale again, love you, buddy. Appreciate you. 2/3 of Teddy's NFL career games had him throwing less than 200 yards and only one touchdown or less. He only has 2 career games where he threw 3 or more TDs. And he's got a lot more, he's been down the road much farther. Drew, off the top of my head, I know he has 2 such games of 3+ TDs, right? The Texans game and the Panthers game last year. But just interesting. Thanks for those stats, buddy.
I'm looking up. It's loading right now. When the Broncos played the Panthers, how well Bridgewater did. It's 30 of 40, 283, no picks, no touchdowns. That is what Teddy is. And that's yards is actually a little high for him. So he's always going to be just that, a middling quarterback who takes care of the football, even though he doesn't do it all that well. That's just who he is.
And those numbers were very inflated by garbage time because the Broncos jumped out to a massive lead. So you had a lot of garbage time stats there as well.
Oh, and by the way, Corey, you want to talk about QBR? His QBR in that game, Bridgewater, was 45.5. Locks was 88.7. So moving on.
There you go. Stu Meat, good to see you, buddy. Thank you for the super chat. I'm trying to make out what you got on there in the profile pic, but good to see you, buddy. Really appreciate you.
Chad, by the way, it's because Bridgewater was going against a stout defense. That's why. But the same didn't work for Locke when he faced a defense that held Russell Wilson, I believe, to what? Either no touchdowns or 1 touchdown. If you go and watch the Panthers, the stat line from last year, they played pretty good defense, but it only works one way, that argument seems like.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Kiaka, again, what up, bro? AR-12s are Aaron Rodgers. Wait, AR-12s are fun, but we're locked and loaded. Okay, all right.
Like it.
All right. Appreciate that. By the way, I'll be there for the MHH tail guy. For real? You're going to make the trek? Dog, that's going to be legendary. Legendary. We're going to be doing a lot. It's going to be content. It's going to be the live pod. It's going to be meet and greets. It's going to be kicking back before the game. It's going to be a gas. So we are going to definitely look forward to that. Kane, again, appreciate you, bro. Thank you guys for making my long nights better. Same to you. You make our nights better. For real.
Sir.
That's no lie. Albert, can't go a show without shouting out my dog, Albert. He says, I've mentioned it before, glass half full or half empty. It means the same. Time for a refill. That's good. That's good. Some dad wisdom there. Guillermo again. He says, I feel like Malik Reed is way underrated. Your thoughts? Yeah. I mean, he led the team in sacks last year. He deserves a little more juice than he's getting, but don't get carried away. Don't get carried away. He's a solid cleanup sack guy. You're not going to see those jaw dropping by virtue of his own raw athletic tools and technique, beating a tackle one-on-one for the most part. He's a cleanup guy. He's sound in that department. He's going to put pressure on, but he just doesn't have that extra gear that like a Vaughn or Chubb do. And he sucks against the run. That's his biggest thing. He needs to get better against the run.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's way underrated, but he's not exactly a household name. I like Malik Reed. He's like the Jeff Holland, remember him, Chad, that actually worked out for the Broncos.
Yep. Willie again. Remember Teddy's ceiling? Barely above Drew's floor. I may be a little hyperbolic, but I'm pretty close to feeling you on that, Willie.
I think it's accurate, honestly.
Excuse me. All right, let me see here. Guillermo, again, by the way, Shermer is holding the whole team back. Hey, you're preaching to the priests, dude. How often does the congregation preach to the priests, let alone the choir, right? But we feel you. Yeah, that's a topic for a whole other podcast. Hopefully that changes this year because he's had a year with this collection of talent. Here's Scott in Chicago. What up, dude? Thank you for that super. He says, Zach just took the same deep breath I did. Go Lock. Great show, gents. # state of being. Appreciate you, bro.
I take more deep breaths than COPD patients, Chad. I just can't stop, just sighing at this constant Lock hate. It's weighing on me, man.
Nancy, 2 nights in a row from Nancy. Thank you. She says, I'm a Lock supporter. I think he just needed to mature a bit and realize he has to earn the job. Agreed. I think that's a part of it. And that's, Zach, part of what my admission earlier tonight saying that my take was wrong last year. He needs to feel that competitive anxiety and really believe and buy into the fact that he's got to sing for his supper.
Exactly. That's a very fair analysis. I agree with that.
Eric, what up again, dude? 2 nights in a row for Eric. Love you, bro. When Shanny had this team, you knew those first 15 plays were going to eat the other team's lunch. Shermer's first 15 blew. He didn't help his QB. Yeah, Kubiak's first 15 were always on point too, for the most part. In fact, I think back to that 2012 game where the Texans came to Denver, and then, the Broncos limped out to 2-3 start with Peyton in his first year. One of those 3 losses was that game where Koob came to town and just ate Denver's lunch, and his first 15 in that game were masterpiece level, just exploiting the Broncos. So feel you on that, buddy.
Even Scangarello kept defenses more on their toes than Pat Shurmur did. Last year, it was run up the middle, and then a low percentage pass, incomplete on third down, punt. That was the Broncos' offensive game plan. It's not going to cut it this year, and I hope Pat Shurmur and the entire operation, including Drew Lock, gets better.
Last one, guys, then we got to go. Mark Langley, again, love you, buddy. Zach is tired of Lock's stats. Win or losses, that's the only stat that matters. Yep. And that's why Drew Lock has Teddy Bridgewater here, because he lost more games than he won last year. So, it's a law of kind of like a law of physics. It's a law of football.
I don't have time for stats or analytics or anything like that. It's, nuts on the table time. Show me the results. It's a results-based business. That's what I want to see.
He's talking about bolts and washers, guys. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Exactly.
Okay. Corey H., for real, last one. Panther game is like Houston game from year one. Okay, it was fun. Eventually, you have to throw out the outliers. Okay, I feel you, but what about the outliers of 2020? You throw those out too, like the pandemic, the injury, the no OTAs, the no preseason, the no. I mean, eventually, outliers, they do start to stack up. But Corey, hey, dude, appreciate you. We got to go. We're hour and 16. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us. Completing yet another just whirlwind blast of a week podcasting here on Huddle Up. So thanks to each and every one of you. Mile high salute to our Super Chat superstars. Mile high salute to Tyler Randall for joining us on a superstar segment last night. Willie, Johnny's got one there. I'll grab it. Willie, outliers establish ceiling and floor. Good point. Talk about analytics. Good point. Thank you, Willie. And guys, we're out of here for the week, but let not your hearts be troubled, because Sunday, Kelberman's Corner at noon. You don't have to wait all the way till Sunday night. We'll be back, of course, Huddle Up Sunday night, but make sure you are a subscriber, a supporter on Facebook of Mile High Huddle, and you get access to that content. Other than that, Zach, send us off and have a great weekend, bro.
So his wins are outliers, and his losses, 4 interception games, and the drop field games, those aren't, right? So that only works one way again. But yes, thank you everyone out there, the Druthers, the anti-lockers. Thank you everyone tonight for tuning in, all your support, all your interaction. Thank you, Ann. And be sure, guys, as she says there, hit the like button on your way out. Thank you, R. Butler. We appreciate you. We'll be back on, like Chad said, Sunday evening, 6 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Eastern. I'll be back on noon Mountain time with Kim Becker. Thank you, Dylan. Be sure, guys, before you get out of here, and as Dylan says, leave a little like on the way out. It goes a long way. Follow the Huddle Up Podcast on Twitter at Huddle Up Pod. Follow the Mothership account at Mile High Huddle. You can follow Chad at Chad and Jensen. Hold on, John. You can follow me at Kelberman NFL. And, of course, you can throw it back up. I got you this time. Again, John K. MHH, the Beast. He's a great Twitter follow. I promise you guys, you're going to want to do that. If you can, if you want to get a hat like I have right here, or as Chad has, go to the store at huddleuppod.com and get your swag on. We appreciate all your patronage. If you can't do that, totally get it. Subscribe, like, and share. We appreciate that more than anything else. It helps us grow and reach like-minded listeners and viewers just like you. But we're out of here for the weekend. Chad, have a great weekend. John, have a great weekend. We'll see you guys Sunday night. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.